Hey blues fans, welcome. Glad you made it to the next episode of This Week in the Blues. It's our weekly take on blues history. I'm your host, Jimbo Big Train Madsen, with the blues band Big Train and the Locomotives. Their motives are loco. That's kind of how they got their name. Anyway, let's take a look and see what happened this week in blues history.
One of the world's first great R&B labels, Modern Records, was formed by Saul and Jules Bahari on April 21st, 1949 in Los Angeles. Modern's artists included Etta James, Joe Houston, Little Richard, Ike and Tina Turner, and John Lee Hooker. The label released some of the most influential blues and R&B records of the 1940s and 1950s. Ike Turner was a talent scout and session musician for Modern Records in the 1950s. Turner discovered a number of artists for Modern, including Bobby Blue Bland, Howlin' Wolf, Roscoe Gordon, and many others. Blues and R&B singer and saxophonist Benjamin Bull Moose Jackson was born April 22, 1919 in Cleveland, Ohio. Some of his early bandmates said that Jackson resembled a bull moose, and the colorful nickname stuck. Some of Jackson's solo recordings were as funny as they were risque. Songs like Big 10-Inch Record and the astonishingly raunchy Nosy Joe were both from 1952. Now, they were definitely too suggestive to merit airplay at the time, but they're stellar examples of jump blues at its craziest. In the mid-1950s, Jackson was tired of touring and retired from music to work at a catering firm in Washington, D.C., although he occasionally still performed at private parties. The great blues harp master George Harmonica Smith was born April 22, 1924 in West Helena, Arkansas. He was brought up in Cairo, Illinois, and his mother taught him how to play the harmonica from the age of 4. He moved to Chicago in 1951 and joined Muddy Waters Band in 1954. During this time, he also worked with Otis Rush. In the mid-1950s, he recorded several singles for the RPM Modern label under the name Little George Smith. In 1955, Smith went on tour with Little Willie John and champion Jack Dupree. The Blues Brothers, played by John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd, made their debut on Saturday Night Live on April 22nd in 1978. They later became the first characters from the show to get their own movie. They're not so much a comedy act as a musical one, as both Belushi and Aykroyd loved to play the blues. For their debut on the show, they play a cover of Soul Man by Sam and Dave. Boogie-woogie and blues piano player Charles Cow Cow Davenport was born April 23, 1894 in Anniston, Alabama. Davenport also made recordings under the pseudonyms of Bat the Hummingbird, George Hamilton, and the Georgia Grinder. Davenport is also a member of the Alabama Music Hall of Fame. He is one of 8 children and started to play the piano at the age of 12. His father objected strongly to his musical aspirations and sent him to a theological seminary, where he was expelled for playing ragtime. Country blues singer and songwriter Charlie Specs McFadden was born April 24, 1895. Now, there's little information known about his life outside of his recordings. He also used the nickname Black Patch, and both Specs and Black Patch referred to weak eyes. McFadden was considered to be one of the top blues singers in St. Louis. He made his first recording in 1929. One of McFadden's tracks was Gambler's Blues, the title of which he may have been well-versed to write and sing about. McFadden was arrested on 13 separate occasions between 1929 and 1935, with 10 of those charges being for gambling. Outside of this, really not much is known about his life. The Velvet Bulldozer, Albert King, was born April 25, 1923. Now, without Albert King, modern guitar music would not sound as it does. His style has influenced both black and white blues players, from Otis Rush to Robert Cray to Eric Clapton and Stevie Ray Vaughan. Albert King had his own style and unique tone right from the beginning. Now, King plays a guitar left-handed without restringing the guitar from the right-handed setup. This upside-down playing accounts for his difference in tone, since he pulls down on the same strings that most players push up on when bending blues notes. Blues singer and guitarist Johnny Johnny Shines was born on April 26, 1915. He was vastly under-recorded during his prime years, even quitting the music business for a time, but was rediscovered in the late 60s and recorded and toured steadily for quite some time. Shines eventually made his way north to Chicago and made the transition to electrified urban blues with ease, helped in part by his powerful and impassioned vocals. Blues singer, songwriter, and guitarist Shirley Griffith was born April 26 in 1907. Based mainly in Indianapolis, he is best known for his recordings Walkin' Blues and Bad Luck Blues. He learned to play the guitar at the age of 10, and later his friend and mentor, Delta blues guitarist Tommy Johnson, gave him lessons and offered to help get him started in a music career. But by Griffith's own account, he was too wild and reckless in those days. He settled in Indianapolis working in automotive factories. While there, he became friends with Scrapper Blackwell and Leroy Carr. The mother of the blues, Ma Rainey, was born April 26th in 1886. Ma Rainey wasn't the first blues singer to make records, but by all rights, she probably should have been. In an era when women were the marquee names in the blues, Rainey was once the most celebrated of all. The mother of the blues had been singing the music for more than 20 years before she made her recording debut on Paramount Records in 1923. With the advent of blues records, she became even more influential, immortalizing such songs as C.C. Ryder, Boll Weevil Blues, and Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Well, blues fans, we just covered some of the highlights here. Now, if you want to know more about these artists or other things that happened this week in the blues, be sure to follow our social media pages or visit our website at bigtrainblues.com. Now, we'll have a new episode next week, so we'll see you then.